Well, welcome. This is the second evening of a three-night series, and my name is Cheryl Ann Moody, and I'm excited to spend this little bit of time with you during the holiday season. I decided instead of sitting at my desk or table to talk to you that I'm going to sit in front of a fire because it is getting chilly, and I want to be cozy. That's just how I feel tonight. So join me by the fire. We're going to talk just for a couple minutes. Um, I don't know about you, but one of the things that continues to happen during the holidays is with interactions of others, things come up, memories, a lot of memories come up, a lot of desire for memories and a lot of desire for interaction with those that we care about and love. Whether we can be near them, whether they've passed on already, have finished their lives, whether we have been estranged from them for a long time, whether we understand the background on that or not. It's all part of the holiday experience, and it isn't just unique to this time of year. Actually, there are holidays throughout the year that might trigger certain emotions and certain yearnings. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight, and just have a little bit of a discussion. I am going to go ahead and get to where I can share some of the things I've put together. So, with emotional wellness, emotional wellness is key to the kind of experience that we ideally seek for as we live day to day. And we talked in our first little visit about emotional wellness. We talked about the how we're beings made up of three different portions. So we have our mind, we have our spirit, we have our body. And when all of those are well, we're in complete wellness. And we fluctuate a lot between these depending on what our experiences are. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about another aspect of this. Again, my name is Cheryl Ann Moody, and I teach courageous women how to navigate life's storms so they masterfully and majestically teach others to get to clearer skies. And I love this journey of emotional wellness. In our family, so my husband and I have been married for 30 years, and we have 6 children, 4 living, and we have 3 grandchildren. And having a family, having a growing family all of these years has been a mentorship of sorts for me. And I'm very much, I grew up in a very large family, so there were a lot of things that were out in the open. And then there were some things that, because of customs and cultures, that we didn't talk about. And but we were actually pretty open. So I grew up on the West Coast, and then my husband and I lived in the West for 20 years and now live more on the East Coast, so in the Southeast. And so it's a real journey, and it's a real experience to share emotions, to feel emotions. And I had a real interesting talk with somebody last night. This is our family, and this is a little more than 2 years ago. This is a family picture that we took when everybody came into town because our son in the gray sweater hadn't been wearing sweaters for 2 years. He was in Brazil, and he was on a mission, a religious mission, and served for 2 years and had just returned home. And this is our last family picture that we'll ever be able to take, because a couple months later, in fact, 2 years this week, our son, Jonathan, took his life. He lost his battle with mental illness, and he's in the plaid shirt. And then 5 months later, our sweet daughter, Catherine, who then was 9, in the blue dress, she lost her battle with asthma, actually. She aspirated during a major asthma attack, and it was devastating time, to say the least. So emotional wellness, because of Jonathan's journey, really, because of his journey, I began my journey for emotional wellness, and really acknowledging the importance of it and looking for all the clues and tools and things that I needed. So I'm very grateful for that difficult experience, even though the outcome is definitely not what I was hoping for, nor my husband, nor our family. And so emotions, we talked about this in the first discussion. Emotions are molecules that are triggered inside our bodies, that we trigger, and that create action in our bodies. When we work on the things that we're thinking and the way that we process our thoughts, that helps a lot. That, in fact, that is a major part of emotional wellness. I talked about using essential oils. I recommend one brand. That would be doTERRA. That's the brand that I researched and began to use because of the purity and because of the quality, because of the research, because of the science behind it. That means a lot to me. I'm not looking for, I was looking for something very, very clinical that I could use. And so in my studies, with studies that have been done by Johns Hopkins and Vanderbilt University and many labs and with botanists and such, I really needed that. And this came up, this kind of research was inspired because our son's mental illness journey, with the medications that he was on, I could see the side effects. I could see the difficulty on his otherwise very healthy, strong body. Now, at that point in time, became very taxed. And then we shared some books, some ideas that you could, some books that you could purchase and start using, and that I have used in the past. One author is Carol Truman, and she's phenomenal with her Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die book. That one is absolutely, hands down, a phenomenal book for everybody. And especially if you're parents of teenagers and young adults, I would get that for them for the holidays. I would just get it and recommend it and pray that they read it. Another author would be Brene Brown, and I would definitely recommend that as a gift during the holidays to anybody and everybody you love too. Her research on shame and wholehearted living is hands down phenomenal, and very much a big part of shifts that happened for me. I'm considering, I'm thinking about I talked in the first session, the first discussion that we had, about my love-hate relationship with running. And I need to work on the mental side of that. I run uphill only, pretty much. Downhill is a little bit too hard on me physically for different reasons. And one of the things that I have loved, I began running in the summertime, and we live in Kentucky, and the colors and the greenery and the weather changing. I just love it. It's just healing for me. And, coming from the West, where we had to have sprinklers or drip systems to every single plant, or there was scarcity of water and so many problems because of it, and to live in a place that I just consider a sanctuary after all these years is a blessing. So here's a picture I took on my run. Maybe it's a little bit of a distraction for me, but I take pictures of nature along the way because I love it, but maybe it lets me not run for that moment. But in this picture, look at the colors. Look at the diversity of colors. Look at the greens and the orange and the yellow and the red and the pop of all these different colors, a little bit of brown. I was running this morning, this particular morning when I took this picture, and the first time I ever saw this kind of color in a vast countryside, was coming to Kentucky for my husband's 10-year reunion, and I was blown away. I stopped arguing about my seasons I grew up with. It was just beautiful. Trees like this. And I thought about all of the stories that everyone brings to the table and the colors that it adds to the whole spectrum of life that we experience. Not one of our stories are ever going to be the same. Not one. Our life is as individual as our thumbprint. It is absolutely colorful like this. It is beautiful. It gives it depth. It gives meaning. It gives inspiration. And part of that is our story everyone's story is going to include traumatic experiences, stories of loss, and stories of struggle. And it doesn't always have to be like that. It doesn't have to be this drama. But how we move through and with these experiences determines the depth of color, how much we feed ourselves. The more the rain, the more brilliant the color of fall in Kentucky and in any of the countryside that you see all through the Northeast. Absolutely, the amount of nourishment with that rain, the brighter, the more brilliant the colors in the fall, and the longer the fall will last. And the seasons of life are very valuable. We need to treasure them. So the holidays, what the holidays bring, and this is really important to understand, is the holidays bring up triggers of memories, of experiences, good or bad, happy or sad, sorrow-filled. Many people have experienced loss during this time, as I have. And there are going to always be these kind of experiences. But think about the brilliance of that one bright leaf and all of the energy and beauty that went into this leaf as it was in full color of green, and then went to through all these changes and became this brilliant bright red. What is that one bright leaf in the crowded tree that grabs your attention? What is that one person? Who is that? What is that? Is that one person? Is it a beautiful memory? Is it a place where you've been that brings you comfort? Think about the colors and the inspiration that these bright, brilliant colors can bring. For me, I admire the colors because I know that it took nourishment and time, and that there's a change of season, that moving through the leaves, that walking through them and hearing them and feeling them and hearing the wind in the leaves brings that feeling of movement. And just like that, as you entertain the opportunity to process your emotions, there begins to be movement. Your life takes on brilliant color. Being stuck with one thing, one color, one season, and thinking that by being stuck there, you're protecting yourself is a very deep false belief. So how do we bring out the colors? Do you love the red? Do you love the yellow? Do you love the brown on the edges? On oak trees, you have this really neat green through the middle and then brown on the outside. What is it that grabs your attention? What is it that for you, what would you like to emulate? What is that brightness? Okay. Now think about the visualization we did in the first discussion. We cleared out emotions, experiences that would get in the way. The goal here, I'm really kind of found that I really like the bottom line a lot. And I don't know if you're listening to this and you go, I just want the bottom line. The bottom line is you want movement. You want your heart and your mind to function together. You don't want too much heart, too much mind. You know what I'm talking about. When we're too much in our head, we create so much anxiety. I create, when I think about, remember my story about the acorns, and there might be just a couple acorns, but I'm so afraid that I'm going to trip and fall over them because they're in the road where I'm running, and I already don't like that I'm running, but I'm meeting my goals. And here's the thing. In order to get this bright, brilliant color, we have to have movement. We need to move into each season. The scariest thing for me was to acknowledge that there would be a whole new reality. That is frightening when you place your whole life on, when you bank your whole life on a certain thing and it's gone. a way of life, a place you live, people you live with, people you think you're going to share your whole life with, the way you're going to share your life, economic changes. That is scary. But what's more important is recognizing that right here, right now, you can decide how you process that. Think about all the different range. Look at all these different parts and beautiful places in nature that we can experience life. My sister took this picture of the heart-shaped rock at the beach on the East Coast after our daughter had died. And I have a very rough blog. I wrote what I could, and a lot of it is very emotional, but it's at mybluehearts.wordpress.com. mybluehearts, plural, mybluehearts.wordpress.com. And you're more than welcome to read some of the things that I wrote. I had some very sacred spiritual experiences. I had some very tough moments. Several of those things I shared. And the red flower is our youngest daughter, who is the only one now at home with us. She planted a bulb, and we had no idea that it would bring these beautiful, brilliant red flowers all summer long in this garden that is now planted in memory of our son and our daughter who passed away. And Elizabeth's beautiful addition to it just cheered us up all summer long. And then these beautiful poofy white flowers are so pretty. This was on a walk, or actually this was on a drive home from being out in the country. And I just had to stop. This is a long one of the walks that I'll take. Take in and notice that you can blossom, you can move emotions in many ways. Anywhere you go, just like in nature, you can grab onto something visual and use it to help you move your emotions. At this time of year, show yourself grace. Give yourself room to be you. Don't look to anyone else to validate your journey. Your journey is divinely lifted. Tell me your story. I would love to hear your story. I would love to hear what is going on and what has happened. Last night, I was with a group of women, and we were at a very a small gathering of women for a small Christmas dinner, and we did an ornament exchange. And the woman sitting next to me lost her husband 4 years ago yesterday. And I didn't realize it was the exact day, but I knew her husband and her also, and knew the struggles that they went through because his health deteriorated, and it was tough to watch. At the time, my husband and I were really worried about our son. He had been diagnosed with his mental illness. So we were engulfed in that and raising 2 little girls at home and all the family things. And so when she shared with me that this was her husband's passing away date, a lot of us call it graduation date. There's so many different terms that are used, but he died 4 years ago yesterday. She said, the first 2 years I was numb and depressed. And then the last 2 years, it's almost like I put it all to the side and didn't let myself feel. And I said, but feeling is what makes it rich, and it's important. So I took wild orange essential oil we talked a little bit about last night, and I had her put that in the palm of her hands and rub it together and smell it and put it on the back of her neck, and the tears came. I want to know your story. Your story has value, and this isn't meant to make your holidays sad, but what's even more important is this, as we talk about it, and I don't think you have to talk about it too much, but to recognize it within yourself and to use some of the tools that we're using will help you to have a healthy way of processing. Start a journal where you share, okay, today I was feeling this and I'm really grateful that I had this new experience. Allow for even the smallest little new memories so that you can intertwine all of the old with the present with the new. And instead of being worried and anxious about what's going to happen next or what did happen, that you can be in the moment and experience a little bit of something that makes you smile. Your story is very valuable. Let's connect on Essential Healing on Facebook. Cheryl Ann Moody on Instagram, and at mybluehearts.wordpress.com. You can read the things I've posted. I would love to hear more about what's working for you. And I would really like to know if there's anything else that I can do for you, because I can do that. We can have conversations. I have these conversations all the time with women who are working through issues or emotions and are just trying to figure that out. It's really open and important for us to do that. We talked about essential oils, but I didn't cover some of these blends. And these 6 blends, the one in particular that helped me the night my son lost his battle with mental illness, is Console. Console has the essential oils that I put it right over my heart, and I'm here to tell you that it was this lift for my heart. My body had been through so much trauma that day, in my husband finding him, us looking for him, and my husband finding him, and then us taking care of him and making sure he was taken care of. And to have that Console on my heart just lifted me. And then I knew that there would be other emotions that would come up. And Forgive has really beautiful pine scents to it, like the herbs and the grasses and the trees. And for me, that's a very soothing thing. So I started putting Forgive on my wrists so I could just smell that. Those were really good for me to use for several months after my son passed away. So this does come in a collection, or you can get these individually. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you're interested in using these blends that are already done with beautiful, beautiful oils in them, and how to use them. I wanted to make sure that working together, that you knew that I have a couple things that are always available. Coaching for 8 weeks, $225, and it does include essential oils. And the Emotions Aromatherapy essential oils I just showed you with a diffuser is $195. We want to look forward. I took this picture on a walk/run that I was doing in a beautiful morning in northern New York State. And I loved how the sun was shining through. There were trees everywhere. And in the distance, there's a pasture, but all around me were trees and moss and beautiful surroundings. And I just remembered thinking, and this was still, this was the summer, and I was in a good place, and this just continued to help me heal. And having the light shine through in what seemed like a tree-filled area, and to see that brightness shining through and the clear sky, and still feel safe, like I was getting a nice hug from nature, was such a healing experience. And I want you to know that you have that here, that I will continue to post in the Essential Healing group, healing things, but you can also scroll through and see a lot of quotes and comments, and even just different things that I've posted there. You can also find me on Facebook, Cheryl Ann Moody, and like my page and see when I have things like this going on. I just wanted to finish up with the thought to remember to have grace. Remember to have that little bit of self-care that's really uplifting for you, so that you can move gracefully through the holidays, okay? Self-care, the books, the essential oils, conversations with me, with anyone in our Essential Healing group, those are all welcome things. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, and I'm excited to share a little bit more, and to share with you actually a series that I've created also that will be ongoing for anxious overload. This isn't just a one-time deal. We'll continue forward, and you can jump in at any time. Invite friends and family who might benefit too. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.